or make up the decision-making part of my brain. My logic, my heart, my lady parts, my confidence. And ladies, I need your counsel.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the We Don't Know TV podcast. My name is Leaf. I'm your host. This is a podcast where we watch the first episode of a show and then talk about it. I'm gonna keep that in. And so you might have seen this one and you're probably like, what is this? This isn't typically a type of show I would watch, but the main actress Katie and the girl Erica, who plays her best friend in the show, are actually two people I said actually twice. I follow them on TikTok. I've been following them for a while. They actually do comedy skits, and then they also do like more girly stuff. But I've been following them for their comedy, and Katie was like, oh, I got a show on Peacock, and it's basically the same kind of thing that she's been doing, which are these, I have a situation, the Kouncil helps me out, and they kind of figure it out. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So if it's basically the same thing in a show format, why don't I just give it a try? I'm already watching it, you know what I mean? And then it's also kind of cool to see, like, when someone you follow on, like, a different like a social media platform finally gets a chance to do something bigger. It's like, okay, can they actually like do it, or or should they just kind of stay in their lane? So yeah, that's essentially why I'm watching this show, and it's a little different than probably some of the other stuff that you've seen on my channel. If it's your first time here, I usually go over the premise. So the premise for the show is Katie navigates adulthood post-breakup, guided by her inner voices: logic, heart, anxiety, and lady parts. She faces life's challenges while balancing desires and needs, learning to accept all aspects of herself through humor and growth. Okay. Now, again, if it's your first time here, I go through the plot beat by beat. That way you don't have to, and that way I don't forget anything. So once I started this episode, he said it was only 11 minutes long, and I'm like, where's the rest of it? All right. I felt like that was a little, not a bit of a warning sign, but clearly like they gave her enough, but not enough for it to be like a full, 22 minute episode. So I was like, I feel like that might be a little telling. So we start off with her intro song, and it kind of sets everything up. And I kind of liked it. It reminded me of, New Girl. So we're in LA, and she's moving her stuff into her new place with her friend Alana, and they start off with like this weird sex joke of like, it's almost in, oh, right there. But the joke goes by too fast that it's like, it's odd, and it's just like, there wasn't enough build up so that the payoff was actually funny. So it's just kind of like weird. And while they're talking, we learn that her ex Jackson has cheated on her, and she has gotten this house because of next of kin. They look over on the couch, and there's like a blanket over it, and it looks like there's something underneath it, and they're like, oh my god, that's not your dead aunt, is it? She goes, I don't think so. And instead of having like a normal reaction of like pulling the blanket off, for some reason she did like a spin onto, like, sat on the couch and pulled it off. I thought that was so weird. I was like, even for like, it's a TV show. It's just an odd thing to do. I would have had a different take of that. But no, it's just a bunch of pillows underneath. And of course she's sad, so she's like, let's do some tequila. And Alana's like, sorry, I gotta go. I gotta study for the bar exam. And Alana leaves, and now Katie is all by herself. She starts to unpack her things. We see a vision board. It says married by 25. I feel like as a millennial, we all have those like, man, when I'm this age, I'm going to have this, and that. And of course, life happens. The economy is the economy. The government hates us. So a lot of those things aren't happening. And then we see an old picture of her and Jackson, and we hear kind of voiceover. And he's like, come on, like, you're not answering my calls. It's been like 2 weeks. He says, can't you just be mature about this? Like, maybe you need to like grow up or something. And I always find it so funny that the people that do the bad thing in the relationship are the ones that are always just like trying to act high and mighty. It's like, you cheated. You know what I mean? No, you can't be mature about this. You clearly weren't mature, or because if you were, you would have just broke up with her. You know what I'm talking about? People suck. Anyways, I've never been cheated on. I'm just talking in general. So Katie sees, all the memories are coming back. She's tempted to text Jackson, and this is where we meet the Kouncil for the first time. And they're kind of just chatting. We're getting to know everybody real quick. And she's like, no, this is fine. I'm totally fine. Everything's good. And her logic is like, yeah, sure, it's fine. You're not totally just talking to different parts of your personality while you're by yourself. So she leaves the house to get some coffee. While she's outside, a napkin flies into her drink. The guy comes over. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. My name's Xavier. You got this drink. Can I get you another one? This is where we have this moment where, so the Kouncil is still around and they're like making comments as things are happening, but the way that it's shot is like, where are they? It almost feels like they're in a different location than where Katie actually is, and I think it's just like a weird like framing situation, and it was just like kind of odd. I was like, I wish they had shot this in some sort of different way. I know it's probably a lot to having to keep having her talk to herself, so you got to edit not CG, but you got to put them together in the same shots. It's probably easier to have them separate, but just the way that it looked kind of felt odd. And she's like, yeah, sorry, I gotta go. I got to go to this exotic knitting group. And then Lady Parts makes this weird joke about, she's like, yeah, we're gonna go home and like twirl our ass hair our asshole hairs. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was funny just because it was so random. I was like, all right, cool. And clearly he's like, oh, can I get your number? She like walks away. So he's going to be part of the show, I guess, later on. She went home. She's calling up Alana and she's like, it's whatever. I'm over this, yada, yada, as people do, even though they're not. And she's like, okay, cool. Well, he just posted a new picture on Instagram, so I guess you don't care. Immediately goes on Instagram and sees a picture of Jackson with some new girl. Can't see her face. Of course, her and the Kouncil start to spiral. They're like, no, we shouldn't. But they totally want to, stalk her, see what's up with the new girl. But they're like, you know what? Let's not spiral today. So they move on. And they kind of have their own little meeting of like, all right, should we look or should we not look? And for the most part, most of them are like, we should look. And Logic's like, you guys are going to do whatever you want, so I don't even know why I'm here. So they start to look up the pictures. They're going, oh, look at her. She's so skinny. She's probably a horse girl, yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? They're feeling like shit. Anxiety shows up. Of course, anxiety's like, we suck. Everything sucks. What's the point? Confidence ain't having it. She's like, you know what? I'm out of here. And Katie's like, are you going to come back? And she's like, I don't know. It's kind of up to you. And she dips. And when this happened, because this episode's so short, everything's happening so fast that like you don't really get to breathe with anything. And I'm like, I think that's why you need more time. That's why episodes are so long, is because we're not really sitting with anything. And I guess that's kind of hard when you only have two main characters, right? You have Katie and then you have Alana. But Alana seems busy, so it's just Katie and the Kouncil. But there's like, everything's just like flying by. That's like, I can't sit down with anything because we're already on to the next scene. Speaking of, the episode ends. She's crying, watching TV, still talking to the Kouncil. They're trying to look on the bright side, but it's not really working, because she's sad. And Love is like, I need to know what I did wrong. And Katie finally breaks down. She texts Jackson. She goes, hey, can we talk? It shows that he read the message and he immediately starts typing. And she goes, oh, he did not just do that.
He did not just do that.
And I don't know what that means. If you can explain that to me, let me know. I watched that scene a couple of times. Maybe it's a girl thing. Maybe I just don't date enough. But I was like, I don't understand like what the issue was. I think for me, I was like, oh, he read it a little too fast, right? But like she seemed upset, like he did something specific, and I was like, I don't get it. So if you can let me know, let me know. But yeah, that's where the episode ends. And I pretty much talked for like the whole amount of the same episode, but like the thing flies by. Like there's no real time to absorb anything. But before I really get into it, I have a 3-point rating scale. It's 1 and done, give it a chance, and I'm in. For this one, I would say give it a chance. I think the biggest thing against it is just because it's short. Like I was like, I would rather have, because I think it says 6 episodes. I'd rather have 3 long episodes than 6 really short episodes, if that makes sense. And I guess that wouldn't really make sense for an episode order, but like it almost felt like when you're watching like SpongeBob and every episode is like 2 episodes in 1 episode, you know what I mean? Except there was no other part. It was just 1. So I was like, we're flying by. I do enjoy that the Kouncil is Katie. I'm sure budget-wise, they wouldn't want to hire a bunch of other people. But, if this was, a network show, it would be each personality would be a different actor. So it was kind of nice that like she got to keep her own concept because that's originally what it was. But I do also wonder if the show would have a different feel if it was other actors. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to take anything away from her. I was just curious because I'm like, oh, I can see, the other like Earth 2 version where this is like a bunch of different, like almost like New Girl, but all the personalities would be all the guys. You know what I mean? But no, I could see. I keep bringing up New Girl because this gives me like New Girl type vibes. Again, I think a lot of things just don't land, and it's kind of hard to grab onto this because it feels more bite-sized. Like it almost feels more of like a YouTube show as opposed to like something they want to turn into an actual show. And again, I think the same thing I keep harping on is just because it's short. There were some of the jokes that I was like, this is weird. And I do think the writing could just be slightly edited. There's something crazy wrong about this, but there was nothing that I was like, yeah, I have to watch more. But there's nothing bad about it either. So, and if they're all bite-sized, I could like just get through the other 5 and see what's up. But I will say, as someone who's watched and heard about other, like YouTubers and people that got their own stuff and went on shows and stuff, seen way worse. This is actually a pretty solid attempt at taking an original, I don't know if original is the right word, but taking her idea and just turning it into a show. So props to her. I might watch the rest of these episodes just to see what happens. And I mean, we'll see if she gets more. But yeah, shout out to her. Let me know if you've seen these, what you think. Is it that it's too short? Does it need more time? And also, if you can explain the ending to me and why she was so upset, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.